It was amazing. It was everything I hoped it would be.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say other than I was there. I saw it.
Yeah.
It was fucking amazing.
Chaos podcast is brought to you by JEMS Art Studio. JEMS Art Studio is an online store that allows access to prints that you can use for most anything, obviously as just a picture, or as a wallpaper, or as a bookmark, or anything you can think of. You can find JEMS Art Studio at etsy.com/shop/JEMS Art Studio. This podcast is also brought to you by listeners like you. Thank you. Hello. Welcome to a very adequate episode of the Organized Chaos podcast. Little something different. Gonna see Genesis tonight. Pretty excited about that. Only the best band ever, if you ask me, and I'm the only vote that counts.
But Paul McCartney thinks so too, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I mean, if he says it's the greatest band, then it has to be.
Yeah, it's absolutely a serious quote. Don't double check that unless you look up our internet memes.
Everything on the internet is real.
Yes. As you might be able to tell, Bobby's not with us. Instead, I got George with me. He's going with me to the concert. He had a fun idea to go ahead and rank Genesis albums, so that's what we're going to do for this podcast. So I get to nerd out over my favorite band. Before we do that, I thought let's go ahead and introduce George. George.
Hello, I'm Bob's good friend George, going on 20 years, maybe more?
No, I met him like 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like 22.
We're fairly young.
Yes.
How do you do, fellow kids?
I mean, yeah, we're young people, so just throwing that out there.
He gets years messed up sometimes.
So, that's my first appearance on the channel.
Mm-hmm. Yes, first actual appearance, although you've heard him quite a bit in the theme. He wrote the theme that I usually use for the podcast, as well as the main theme for the main channel. So you've definitely heard him before. So if you like that music, check him out.
If you like the music, great. If you don't like it, that's great too.
Yeah. We don't care.
I like writing music that makes people upset.
Ooh, nice. He's going for the internet antagonism.
Actually, it's probably time I've updated that a little bit. I think several years ago, right?
Yeah. No, it was a while ago you made it. I think it was before the channel even somewhat took off.
So, it might be time for a revisit.
Yeah. Well, I do have ideas about that I've thought of, but I've not remembered to bring them up to. But yeah, after the podcast, I'll totally bring those up.
Cool. That sounds good.
But yeah, go ahead and introduce my favorite band here. We're going to be talking about Genesis. We're going to be ranking our favorite albums. One thing I want to get into before we get to that will be I want to talk about Phil Collins' health, because that's something I see pop up all the time, probably just because I'm in Genesis circles. Everybody's talking about, he's in terrible health. I even saw one article that actually said because of his terrible health, he's not touring with them this tour, which is so obviously wrong. And even in that article, they had pictures of him on the current tour with them. So I don't know what they were talking about there. But essentially, what I know is from his autobiography, which I listened to not that long ago because I'm a giant Genesis nerd. But essentially, he did have a spinal injury during the Genesis, the last reunion tour. And then he had corrective surgery for it, which was something that, like, largely he needs to just take it easy on his spine, but it would eventually, he could eventually recover from it. But he kind of took it as an opportunity on his own to retire, which is totally cool. If he wants to retire, he can retire. Unfortunately, he also retired about the time when he was going through his third divorce. And that's when he went into his alcohol vendor. And the big moment he describes is just not remembering how he got there, but waking up at the bottom of his staircase, His skull split open, his teeth like shattered out, and yeah, he doesn't know how he got there, and he talks about how he should have died that day.
I actually didn't know any of that.
Yeah,
Yikes.
He talks about it in his autobiography. Yeah, it was a rough time for him. He talks about how he was Mick Jagger's noisy neighbor. But yeah, he had a rough. You've heard his albums. He has some rough divorce stories. And I can tell you, when kids get involved, from firsthand experience, when kids get involved, divorces get rough. So yeah, largely right now he's not drumming. He's just singing. He's got some backing vocalists to help him out. I've heard some of the live stuff. It sounds very good. Yeah, he's obviously not the same as he was, but also this might be his last tour, and so I'm excited to see it. Everything I've seen so far looks awesome.
And he's just singing. His son is doing the drumming, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's something I also wanted to bring up because Nick, his son, second youngest son, I believe, he is doing the drumming. And when he first started touring, I'm not going to lie, I wasn't really thrilled with his drumming when I first heard it for the Not Dead Yet tour back in 2016, I believe that was. But I'm not going to lie, he's come a long way since then. He was super young then, too. I believe he's 21 now. And the drumming I've heard recently is amazing. He's doing a really great job. Like, it's to the point where it's like if he just became like Genesis's full-time drummer, I'm cool with that. Hey, record a new album, guys. I know it's not happening, but hey, I'm cool. But yeah, that's essentially Phil Collins' story. It seems to me that he is in a position where it's mainly his age holding him back. If he really wanted to work on it, he could recover all the way. He even talked about trying to work on doing a little bit of drumming for a little bit of the set for the Genesis show, which didn't happen. And I don't want to spoil it for George, but I know exact point what he's talking about in the set where he would have drummed. But yeah, that's pretty much his health condition. He gets around all right. He does have a cane, unfortunately. He does sit down for the show. That being said, Genesis has largely been like a light show since Peter Gabriel left. Phil Collins he got comfortable in the front, but like especially the early shows, he wasn't comfortable. So he would do like light shows and things like that.
So like less theatrics, kind of more visual.
Yes.
Kind of
yeah,
things,
Tony and Mike were very much into the visual stuff. And if you watch the documentary for the last tour, when it came to actually setting up like the stage show, I don't know if Phil was there. If he was there, it was rare. Setting up the stage show was always Tony and Mike's like thing, and they were always like very passionate. This has to go here. This has to go here. And it looks like this stage show is going to be the exact same quality. So, and their stage shows are always great. So, I am excited to see them live.
Me too.
Do you have any questions, or you want to dive into the ranking?
Let's dive in.
Okay.
Well, we'll start with. Here. You're going to pull up your notes?
Yeah, but we're going to start with our least favorite, go to our favorite Genesis album.
Yeah, I have the records kind of stacked over in order. Yeah. We'll talk about them and...
our favorite tracks and just our thoughts on them in general.
Yep. Sounds good to me.
All right. Whenever you're ready.
So there's 15 altogether, right?
Yeah, 15 studio albums.
Okay, I'll try to remember the countdown order here. But
well, I actually have them noted in my phone, so we should be able to keep track.
Yeah, Bob's good at keeping track of stuff. All right, so for my number 15, I picked From Genesis to Revelation. This one came out, I believe, in 67?
69. They formed in 67, but the album was 69.
That's what I'm thinking. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thoughts on this. My favorite song is definitely the lead single, When the Sour Turns to Sweet, or The Silent Sun. So, just kind of thoughts on this. Bob, I know we've talked about this a lot over the years.
Yeah.
For what it is, it's fine. It's kind of generic 60s, kind of the pop rock that incorporated a lot of orchestral sounds, a lot of... there are some interesting little hints of what would come later in this, but I just don't feel that the songs are as strong as later works. Nothing really kind of stands out when I listen to it. But for what it is, it's fine. It's still good. It's still worth listening to, I think. So, Bob, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah. Well, here, I'll just go ahead and dive right into it. My number 15 is From Genesis to Revelation. Or I sometimes call it From Revolution because I just stumble over it, and I honestly don't think about this album that much. I kind of think about it now for this list. Re-listening to it because I don't listen to it a whole lot. It's better than I remember, but it's still very meh. I know there's a lot of strings put over it that Jonathan King, who produced it, was like really that he added that the band didn't want. Maybe that affects it. I do think it's kind of amazing how well this kind of goes into the next album, which is actually much better in the next album in their discography, Trespass. But yeah, this is a lot of short songs, which wasn't really the direction they wanted to go in. I know he wanted to push them more in a pop direction, and they were more into an experimental direction.
Yeah, and that wasn't uncommon back in the early days of rock and pop. Usually they wanted to put out a kind of radio-friendly, kind of commercial-type album to get their foot in the door, and then once they get some level of success, then they start taking chances on bands and let them experiment.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah. If I had to pick a favorite track, it's probably the lead track where the sour turns to sweet. Conqueror sometimes pops up in my head. It's fine. This is definitely the one I listen to the least. I don't even know if it's fine.
And I think this one too, Jonathan King owns the rights to it, so it doesn't really pop up in a lot of reissues with the band. I mean, Jonathan King does kind of his own reissues, and I swear, I think there has to be like 15 or so different versions.
At least. Like, this is Jonathan King's big claim to fame. He produced the first Genesis album, and that's it. Yeah, and it's like the least noteworthy album in their whole discography.
Yeah. And I think it kind of slid under the radar a little bit, too, just because I think a lot of people thought it was a Christian band, so it kind of got put in those bins, maybe.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually didn't know off the top of my head who drummed this, because I know there's like 3 early drummers. There's like Chris Stewart, John Silver, and John Mayhew. I'm not 100% sure where they line up on these early albums, and this was John Silver. This is his only album as drummer.
Let me pull up. I know we talked about this too. There's this set that they put out called The Archives. There's 2 volumes to this. And there's other songs from that era that didn't make the album, some alternate versions and things. I think I like some of that material better. Yeah,
no, I would definitely say some of that is better, yes.
Yeah, and there's a few songs that are really good on this, and I'm surprised they didn't use for the...
No, I was actually kind of surprised how much of that archive collection is mainly stuff from here.
Yeah.
Obviously not entirely. The first 2 sides are Lamb.
Right.
But, yeah, after that, it's a decent amount of this. There's also, on that, since we're on that, Twilight Ale House, which I believe was like a B-side or something, or maybe it was an A-side.
Yeah.
But it's not an album track, and it's awesome.
Yeah, those tracks are on here. I think there were other tracks that the CD version of that had that weren't included, or something like that. But this has the bulk of all of that stuff from that era, which is worth checking out, I think.
So yeah, if this is definitely something that it's only hardcore Genesis fans check out. It's an anomaly. If you're a casual Genesis fan, you can totally skip it, honestly.
But it's a cool origins kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of Genesis or Peter Gabriel, just kind of seeing kind of where it kind of started.
Well, a little bit of the history. I did think it was interesting. Like this has the 4 founding members. Actually, the first 2 albums are the only ones with the 4 founding members, which is Peter Gabriel, Anthony Phillips, Tony Banks, and Michael Rutherford. And then I know Michael Rutherford talked about Anthony Phillips when he left. That was the closest he came to giving up on the band.
Yeah.
And of course that didn't happen. But yeah, that's interesting to know, because Peter Gabriel had way more of an influence.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's from Genesis to Revelation. Final thoughts?
I think that's really all I have to say.
I think I'm covered too.
First album, 1969.
Yep. So what's your number 14?
Number 14. I chose Calling All Stations. Now, I have a feeling that this is a little higher up on your list.
Yes.
Okay.
Not a lot. I will spoil that.
I thought so. Not a bad album. It's obviously was the final album after Phil Collins left, and they brought in Ray Wilson.
Yes.
Yeah, on vocals. You know, again, it's fine. Ray Wilson did a pretty good job. There's definitely some good cuts on here. You know, my favorite is the lead single, Congo. That was all over the radio back when this came out in 97?
Yep.
Yep, 97. So, almost 30 years after the debut.
Yes.
When this one came
well
out.
jump, yeah.
Quite a jump. You know, again, it almost feels like an organic piece musically from We Can't Dance, just different singer. Not as strong as We Can't Dance. But yeah, definitely worth a listen. Bob, you might know some more backstory.
Yeah.
this one.
Well, I know,
So,
yeah.
hand that over to you.
Let's see. Well, you know, I'm gonna hold off. Pass me Abacab, please.
Okay.
Spoiler for mine.
So, yes, gonna go over...
I don't have all the albums, by the way. I don't have them all on vinyl. And
then
I
when
gotta
you're
find my CDs.
when you're done with Abacab, hand that back to me, and then I'll put it back in my order. So,
Okay, well, here's this one.
okay.
But here's my number 14. This is Abacab. This is actually where we get to the albums I like. I like this. I think as far as, especially the trio, might be the most forgettable, though. Like, these are, like, if I had to pick, there's good songs on here, probably lean towards Me and Sarah Jane as my favorite. But I don't know, it doesn't stand out as much as pretty much any of the other in the trio, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's,
totally.
Yeah, the lead, like Abacab, Spotify's always playing Abacab whenever I have it on random, and it's fine, but it's not what I would pick on my own. It's got some good stuff, but like if you're a casual Genesis fan, I wouldn't start here. I'd probably start much higher on my list, obviously. This is fine. My final thoughts are this is fine. This is definitely like a progression, definitely going less into progressive and more into pop, but which is fine. But
So the lead single, Bob, didn't they edit that down quite a bit?
Oh, yeah.
For the radio version.
yeah, no, this song's like 7 minutes long. I think at the radio it's like 3 or 4.
Yeah. So the album version is definitely kind of more
Well,
prog.
that's very common with these albums, though. Like they almost always cut out the instrumental sections, and that's like the best part of the songs lots of times.
Yeah, agreed. Any song that's like over 4 minutes is almost
It's usually a classic.
Really edited down for the radio version.
Yeah.
So,
But yes, you want to go to your number 13?
yep, we're on. I'm glad you're keeping count here because I'm terrible remembering.
It's cool.
So, okay. So 13, I picked Wind and Weathering. This one came out in 19...
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, I'm on the right number.
Yeah. Okay. Brain farting. Okay.
1976. I believe, unless these are...
I think I have it listed 77, but I think that's me. I think it came out late 76.
2 of these albums
Yeah.
in the timeline, I think, came out the same year.
Yes,
I
yes.
think. And I think this was one of them.
Yes.
Wind and Weathering. In my collection, I think this is one of the oldest ones. I've had this one for quite a while. Several years, and by several, I mean several. Because we're not old or anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, it's really good. This one just didn't really click much with me, as some of the other albums. It definitely, I feel the music really flows together as one piece on this one. Sometimes it's hard to think of standout tracks, but there are definitely some songs on here that I do enjoy quite a bit. Afterglow is excellent. I love Blood on the Rooftops was one I remember quite well. Your Own Special Way. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably go with Your Own Special Way. I mean, it's just a classic song. I mean, everybody knows it. It's, it's a standout.
Yeah,
so.
that's definitely one I have ranked a little bit higher. But although I would say it's the less like they only did 2 albums as a 4-piece, and that I would say is the lesser of the 2. Yeah.
Okay. Bob, thoughts on Wind and Wuthering, or do you want to talk about it when you get to it?
I'll talk about it when I get to it, but yeah, I wanted to add my little bit here.
Okay.
I'm gonna move it over here because I haven't gotten to it yet.
Okay.
My number. Oh, would you pass Nursery Crime?
Yes.
Spoiler on my number 13. That's gonna happen a bit. I have only a couple over here. Nursery Crime. This might annoy people because this is part of the 5-piece collection, the classic collection. Peter Gabriel lead vocals, Phil Collins on drums, Tony Banks keys, Mike Rutherford bass, Steve Hackett guitars, and it is a classic lineup. They got some great stuff, and this is great stuff too. But like this is almost like Abacab for me, where Abacab just feels like this like standard fare for the 3-piece. This feels like standard fare for the 5-piece. Of course, it's their first one, so I guess it wasn't standard at that point. But it would eventually just become the standard. I do feel it's the lesser of all the 5-piece albums because, I mean, the ones after this are so good.
What's the date on this one?
This is 71.
71.
Yes.
Okay.
It was Phil Collins' first album.
Yeah. This would have been the 3rd album in the discography,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Right after Trespass.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And you know, there's good stuff. Musical Box, Return of the Giant Hogweed, Fountain of Samasis. Harold the Barrel is just kind of funny. It's like this funny upbeat song about suicide.
Yeah,
it's really weird.
And there's different like sections to the song too. It's a very very unusual track for them, I think.
Yeah. For Absent Friends was the very first track for them with Phil Collins as lead vocal.
That's right.
Which is fun.
Yeah.
This is good. Like I said, after 14 and on, I think are good. I like Abacab too. It's good. This is probably the one of the 5-piece I put on the least because I think there are better options. But it's good.
Actually, if you want to pass that one to me, that's actually
your number 12.
That's my number 12. That's Nursery Crime. Love the cover art. It actually took me a while. I think I've always, before I got the record, it was the CD or a cassette or whatnot. I don't think I ever had the cassette, but I never noticed that the crochet balls in the field there were heads. So it's kind of a dark cover.
It actually might be one of my favorite of the album covers.
Yeah, hold up the back there. Kind of, I feel like some of these may have been a gatefold because it's kind of one image. This is just a single issue, I believe. But but I mean, Bob pretty much covered, what my thoughts on it are. But I want to say favorite track on this is lots of good songs on this. Musical Box is a classic song. Return of the Giant Hogweed is really good. I just really like the Fountain of Samasis, the closing track.
Yeah, I don't even think I said that. My favorite would be Return of the Giant Hogweed. But Samacious would be my close second.
Is it Salmatius? Is that
something like that? I don't know. Yeah. Listen, I always pronounce things right. And if somebody says I pronounce something wrong, they're wrong. Okay? That's how this goes.
Exactly. So Bob would probably know better than I.
I'm terrible at pronouncing things, so.
But the opening sequence to that song just has some really pretty strings, and it kind of has like this very almost like fantasy type feel to it. And I think that's something they explore a little more later on. So again, it was another early track that just kind of showed some hints of future things. So yeah, Nursery Crime.
Excellent. Let's see. We are to me. Oh, my number 12. Okay. This is convenient then.
Oh, it's
my number
right there.
12.
Okay.
Calling All Stations. Yes, this is interesting. This is probably this is where Phil left, and Tony and Banks, Tony and Mike decided to do kind of like a prog alternative album. I think it works well enough. Like if you compare it to like average music of the time, I'd definitely say it's very good. If you compare it to Genesis tracks, it's definitely lower. But I don't know. I think I rank it a bit higher than most, simply because it's different. I like that it's different. I like they tried something different. I would like them to pursue. I would have liked them to pursue this. Like their original plan was to come back in 3 years and do another album, but essentially Mike said he didn't want to do it anymore without Phil, and so this ended up just being an anomaly. I think if they'd done a follow up with Ray on it full time, because most of these tracks were just Mike and Tony jamming. Phil said, I didn't want to come back. Mike and Tony decided they're going to jam a little bit, see if they come up with an album. This is what happened, and then they had to find a lead singer. They did have, I believe, Nair Z is what he goes by, the drummer, and they also toured with him. He is fantastic.
Is he on that album?
I think he's on most of the tracks.
Oh, okay.
And then I know Anthony Drennan is the backup guitarist for the current tour. He was the live guitarist on this album and for the live tour, and he is also one of the mechanics, so that's a fun fact. So he's stuck around. But yeah, this is good. I think the other thing to point out is Ray's voice, which I find gets a little blah.
It's a very soft voice.
And here's the thing, if you hear his newer stuff, like you can tell it's the same voice obviously, but it's definitely matured and it sounds a lot better. Like he will still do like Genesis covers, and like his Mama during this tour wasn't great, but like his Mama now is really good, which is
Well, I think too during the mid '90s when we had the whole like alternative scene, there was a certain male vocalist style, kind of like for like the Collective Souls or the Bushes or whatnot. I felt like that was maybe an attempt to kind of go with a newer vocal style, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But, just a thought.
I think it probably was. Of course, this album didn't do well. The tour never made it to America, unfortunately.
Really?
Yes.
It was just,
It was a UK tour. They had American dates scheduled, but they got canceled.
Yeah.
So, it didn't do well.
I think some of that could have been just the wait between We Can't Dance and that album. I think there was like 6 years, right?
Well, there's that, and also just, Phil not being there. Phil actually, at this time, part of the reason why they had new touring people is because Chester Thompson and Daryl Sturmer, who who usually tour with Genesis, were on Phil's tour for Dance Till Light. I almost said We Can't Dance, no. I think this is good. I think it's underrated. I think it's just lower down the line for Genesis.
Yeah, all these albums are actually really good. Even if it's low on the list, I still think these are all really solid albums worth checking out.
Yes.
Okay, what number are we on?
11.
11. All right. Again, I feel like some of these albums in the middle here, we're going to have a very different ranking on it, but I chose Trespass for number 11. This would have been the second album, and you could really, on this one, kind of, it's evident that they're starting in their direction. They found their sound. They now have longer songs, more conceptual type pieces, kind of more interesting instrumentation. They do a lot of stuff with like mellotrons and flutes and things like that. Just kind of show the album here a bit. It's a gatefold. Here's the back with the knife, which was the single, right?
Yeah,
the knife was the big single.
I believe so. They performed that live quite a bit after that album was released.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the title too was kind of a nod to the previous album.
Yeah.
Trespass, kind of keeping with the same aesthetic, but maybe a harder sound too. You can see that the knife kind of
tears through the album cover. Yeah,
tears through the album cover, which is really cool. Very cool artwork on this. Actually, I think everything's listed on the inside here.
Yeah.
1970.
So that's with John Mayhew. So Chris Silver was probably who they drummed with in school.
Okay.
Chris Silver, Chris Stewart. John Silver's like God. Before Phil Collins, the drummers are all over the place.
I'd say my favorite track on this one is The Knife, but I really like White Mountain. Visions of Angels is a really cool track. Stagnation, they put in their live sets quite a bit throughout the years. Trespass. Bob, what are your
Trespass. I have this ranked quite a bit higher. I really like it. We'll get to it. But yeah, I think it's really them finding their sound. There's real highlights in this one that I really like. Not really a spoiler. I definitely like this one more than I like this one more than Trespass. No, I like this one more than Nursery Crime, obviously. But yeah, well, I'll definitely get to it.
Cool.
In a little bit.
You want me? Am I passing this over to you? Or?
Well, you can, but actually, I'd like We Can't Dance.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Up there. There's that one.
We Can't Dance, their penultimate studio album. This is a super mixed bag for me. It is the last one with Phil Collins. It's got some great tracks, and then it's also got a lot of meh in it. I will admit, Hold On My Heart has grown on me over time. I wouldn't rank it as one of the best, though. Since I Lost You is a track that Phil Collins wrote in dedication to Eric Clapton's son, who had died. That is very, very sweet. And knowing the history behind it does give the song a little bit of gravitas. That being said, it would be my least favorite track, easily. Let's see, Never a Time is okay, but again, that's towards the bottom. That being said, No Sign of Mine is alright. I love Jesus He Knows Me. That's like my favorite of like their comedy songs. Driving La Spike is classic.
That's one of their more traditional prog type cuts on there.
Yeah, and throughout the years, they keep the prog stuff going. There's definitely prog cuts on like all these albums. Driving La Spike is definitely very proggy. Dreaming While You're Asleep is definitely one of their harder songs, and I love that. Let's see. Way of the World, I think, is underrated. I love that one. Fading Lights is absolute classic. There's a lot of great tracks on here. It's mostly good. But yeah, there's a couple songs that kind of hold it back for me. But overall, very good. Let's see.
Actually, you can pass that to me because that happens to be my number
10, right?
10.
Yeah, I think so.
See, a few of these are somewhat lining up.
Yeah.
I think this might be the second or third one where it was kind of...
I just pass it over.
Yeah, it's... So, yeah, I guess we are lining up a little bit here with thoughts on some of these. 1991. I think this is a double.
Oh, it might be.
Yeah,
it is a longer one.
So it is a double album. Thoughts on it. It's a little long. Mm-hmm. This kind of would have been during the height of the CD era, and back in those days, they really tried to fill out the capacity of the CD. So I think this may have worked better as a single album. Definitely a lot of good songs on here. Bob said Fading Lights, excellent track. I love No Son of Mine. That's a standout for me. First track on the album, just solid song. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of fans kind of despise I Can't Dance, the lead single, but I really like it. I think it's
It's
fun.
catchy. It's
It's
fun.
different for them. It's a fun track. I think I would have been 9 or 10 when that song hit the radio, so I definitely I remember the track being all over the radio, and it was funny at the time. So, but my favorite on this one is Dreaming While You Sleep. Like Bob said, it's kind of a harder song, but it has a very pretty bridge that they visit, I think, twice in that track, and the way that the melody of that section with Phil's vocals, really powerful, really moving. It's, I think what really, I'll pull this out here. There's a live version of it on Archive 2 that is just great. This has, like Archive 1, it kind of follows kind of live tracks, lesser known songs, B-sides, whatever. But there's a really cool live version of that track on here.
As a general rule, their live tracks are fucking amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So We Can't Dance.
Yeah.
I think that's about what I have on that one.
So number 10. Oh, number 10. I can reach that here. My number 10. Wind and Wuthering. I rank it higher than George, but it is the weakest of them as a 4-piece. Oh, there's not a track list here. If I had to pick
I
a
think
favorite track, oh, there it is.
Yeah,
Hey.
it's very hard to see because of the colors.
I definitely have to go for Afterglow. I think that's their best, like, of the romantic songs that they do. They do have plenty of romance songs, but that's kind of touching. But they have other ones, like, I mean, Your Own Special Way is good. I really like the first two opening ones. In fact, if I didn't go for Afterglow, I probably would go for 11th Earl of Mar or One for the Vine, which I like both for different reasons. I think 11th Earl of Mar kind of is a good starting off point, but then One for the Vine's a classic prog piece. And I mean, honestly, On a Mouse's Night, Blood on the Rooftops, and the instrumentals are all solid. This is overall a very solid album. It's only ranked so low on my list because there's so much good ahead of it. It's one of those things. It's a good one.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, we're starting to get into the meat and potatoes.
Yeah, we're really getting into, like, you know, picking children at this point. It's really good stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Wind and Wuthering. Any final thoughts before we resign this one?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
We can move on. Am I on 9 now? Is that?
Yeah, I believe. Yes, we are on 9.
Number 9. Okay. Chose Abacab. You know, like Bob said, it's strong. It's maybe the weakest kind of in that trio of albums, but it's still, like, there's memorable songs on this one. It took a while to grow on me, but, you know, I would just put it on and some other songs would just really start to jump out at me. You know, the title track, Abacab, has that really cool synth lead.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's kind of reminiscent of Devo a little bit. Like, Devo kind of used that sound.
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah, but just really cool. It's, you know, much longer on the album here. Very cool song. No Reply at All is classic. Keep It Dark was a single. That was cool.
His son actually does a good cover of Keep It Dark as well. Phil Collins' son, Simon Collins, he did a good cover of that.
Cool. I don't think I've ever heard that.
Yeah.
But Man on the Corner is my track on this.
That's a great one.
I love that track. I mean, that, again, it was like a hint of a sound to come.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a good song. It kind of has like a feel of like isolation to it. Mm-hmm. You know, it would definitely cover that on later albums. But, Abacab, 1981. So yep, we can.
That came out like a week before I was born. I want to say that was like August 6th, I remember. I just remember noting that date because it's like, holy crap.
Okay, so really close to Bob's age.
Yeah.
Abacab is older than Bob.
That album's 40 years old. Oh,
yeah, that's scary.
Which is weird because I'm 22, so I don't know how that
I know.
works.
It's like, I think I'm 24.
Yeah, fuck it, man.
How is this timeline even
It's
working?
weird. Time is weird.
I don't know.
Where am I at? Past Selling England.
Selling England.
Yeah. This might be lower than a lot of people expect. And honestly, like I said, I'm getting to a point where I'm picking children. Because this is absolutely a fantastic album. Like the opening track, which I pick... did I go for that for my favorite? Yes. Dancing with the Moonlit Night. I love just the vocal beginning of it. And then, like, when the guitar kicks in, it's so just, like, classic. I kind of love it. Probably what holds this back for me, because, like, I love Cinema's show. Battle of Epping Forest is, I don't know. I think that's probably... I have mixed feelings about it.
I would
agree
not with
bad.
you. It's not a memorable track.
Yeah, but like,
there is a ton of great songs on that one.
Firth of Fifth, Cinema Show, and Dancing with the Moonlit Night, fucking amazing. I think what holds this back for me is, like, the single. Like, their first hit single, I Know What I Like in Your Wardrobe. I was never a fan. I'll be blunt.
I like it. They have better songs.
It's catchy, but...
It's... Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's always... Like, I actually like the live versions more, because they do some fun stuff live with that one, but as is... It also has I believe this is the second, because I don't think he actually did one for Foxtrot. The second Phil Collins solo vocal, More Fool of Me.
Yeah, and it even says on the sleeve.
Yeah, this one actually says it. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
More Fool Me in parentheses.
Vocals
Phil.
Okay.
We're just making it known that Phil is singing that track.
Yes. But yeah, this is very good. It's just it's not one of my favorites. That being said, it's great. Absolutely a classic. And I need to see. I believe we're on 8.
Okay. I actually
Yeah,
ranked this
8.
one a bit higher, and I will share my thoughts when we get to it.
I figured.
Okay. 8. I chose, and then there were 3. I think this is a gatefold.
I know my dad's old version was.
Yeah.
Fun fact, when I first when I first started listening to music, I listened to CDs, obviously, because that was what was available. But when I unburied the vinyl, that's when I dug through the vinyls, and this was the first Genesis album that I had heard on CD that I saw on vinyl, so I listened to it then immediately. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
78 on this one. So they were just kind of coming into the kind of the more 80s kind of style here. Yeah, again, there's quite a few songs on this one, actually. Follow You, Follow Me was the kind of big track on here. I really like Snowbound. But Burning Rope has really grown on me. That's the one I picked off of this one. Again, there's live versions of it on the archive set that I showed a few minutes ago.
I'm not gonna lie, anytime I make a Christmas playlist anymore, I always put Snowbound on it, because that's the only Genesis song I can sneak into a Christmas playlist and get away with.
Yeah. But yes, this was also the first album with kind of the more modern lineup. The first one with just...
Yeah, the trio lineup.
With Mike, Tony, and Phil, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
Thus the title.
That's the title.
Yeah.
So, cool. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about it other than it's good. It wasn't really one of my favorites for the longest time, but I think every time I kind of put it on, there's other songs that really start to grow for me. So, okay.
I will definitely have more to say about, but we're not there yet. Can you pass Foxtrot?
Yes. This might be another one that's going to line up for us.
Ooh, yeah. No, this is the class. This is another classic. I don't see this track. I remember the track listing on this fairly well. This is this has their longest song on it by far. I believe isn't Supper's Ready the entire B-side, or is it Sneak?
Well, I think so. If you want to pull it out, well.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. But yeah, Supper's Ready is 24 minutes long. Why?
I'm almost certain it's kind of like Pink Floyd's.
Maybe Horizon sneaks in there, but yeah.
Like Pink Floyd's Echoes,
It's the entire B-side.
It takes up the entire side of the...
Although Horizons is a fun little... Oh, no, wait. Horizons is on there. So it's Horizons and then Supper's Ready. Horizons is actually a great little guitar piece by Steve Hackett.
Yeah, isn't that only like a minute and a half?
Yeah, but it's really nice. I really like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, this one has Watcher the Skies, which is fine.
Yep.
Can Utility and the Coastliner, which I chose Supper's Ready. But to try to mix it up, I chose Can Utility and the Coastliner. Do something different. I always liked that song. I always felt like it was a bit underrated because Watcher the Skies, Get 'Em Out by Friday always get mentioned. And then Supper's Ready dominates conversation for good reason. It's a great fucking song.
It's one of their all-time...
It's amazing.
All-time best songs.
But yeah,
sure.
Foxtrot. Not one of my favorites, but a great album. Absolute great. And like I said, I'm picking children at this point. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so to your number 5, are we up that high? Oh. No, we're not that high, are we? Foxtrot was my 8. Okay, so number 7, yeah.
7, yeah.
What's your number 7?
Foxtrot.
Okay, we're right to it again.
I want that lined up. Again, it's like, I want to say Supper's Ready, because, it's well known that it is like the, one of the greatest Genesis tracks of all time, obviously. But, God, Watchers of the Sky, great track. Get 'Em Out by Friday, I think is the, if I'm picking a song that's not Supper's Ready, it's going to be Get 'Em Out by Friday.
Supper's Ready just dominates that album for good reason. It's
72. There's the back. I mean, this is, I think, iconic cover art. I've seen other people do kind of mock-ups of this cover art.
Well, that was the big one where Peter Gabriel surprised him on stage by coming out in drag with the fox's head, and he would perform on stage like that. And it's like, holy crap!
And it was something.
Yeah.
And you can see here, there's the the fox, the dress with the fox head. That was the costume that Peter would have worn during those shows. But yeah, Foxtrot.
Yeah, it's a good one. Supper's ready. It's if you have 25 minutes to kill and you haven't heard it before, check it out. It goes all over the board. Yeah. And then what would be my? Oh yes, it's one of these. It's this one. Trespass. I rank this quite a bit higher than George. I really recently, probably in the past year or so, I've really I kind of love this album. They really find their sound here. And I think it's kind of amazing because it doesn't have Phil in it. It's by far my favorite Genesis album without Phil Collins. And I will say, I know, Phil even was the drumming was really bad in that album. I think it's serviceable. That being said, it's kind of more key-driven, I would say. You're more the music guy, though.
More keyboards?
Yeah, more pianos and stuff like that.
Yeah,
this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this. If I had to pick a song, I go with White Mountain because that song just catches me. I love Stagnation as well. Knife is classic. I guess it's not overplayed because none of the 70s stuff of Genesis outside Follow You, Follow Me really gets overplayed anymore. But if you're in Genesis circles, it does get a bit overplayed.
Yeah, I will admit that's one that's really grown on me over time.
Yeah, it's really solid. They find their sound here, and it's kind of weird. To do this, I just listen to a whole discography seamlessly, on a whole playlist as much as possible. It's kind of amazing how seamlessly this kind of goes from Genesis to Revelation to this. Sonically, it's very similar, but it is just better. It's a qualitative difference almost.
Right.
But yeah, this is a fantastic one. Any final thoughts on Trespass before we resign this one?
We can officially resign Trespass.
Okay.
It's finally moving its way to the finish. Okay, I think now it's easy for me to count. By the way,
we're at 6
under,
now. Yeah,
we're under 10. I can keep up now.
Yeah.
All right, 6. I picked Duke for number 6. I'm positive this was 1980.
Yes.
1980. Okay. Just kind of show the sleeve here a bit. Got, I think, the lyrics and everything on the inside. And there's the backside. It's just kind of a negative image of the front there. Yeah, this, I think, would be the start of kind of the more kind of 80s era of Genesis. Definitely, more of a lot of still the former prog elements, but I think, they were getting more into the technology of the 80s with the synths and sequencing and things like that. But so, God, just looking at some of the tracks on here, I mean, Duchess, Duke's Travels are classic concert pieces for them, I think. I mean, Turn It On Again is such an iconic song, even if it's overplayed. That's my pick off of this one. It's just
great.
I love that song. And there's so many great live versions of it, too.
I know that song's overplayed, but at the same time, I kind of love it. Especially live. They do a Turn It On medley.
Yes.
Have you ever seen the Wembley show where they just do a whole bunch of covers?
Yeah,
which is fun. And then, lesser known, there's an Atlantic record concert they did where they do a Turn It On medley, but it's a whole bunch of their songs in the medley.
Yeah.
As well as some of their solo songs.
Yeah, check out that medley online. I think they've done several different versions of that with different songs in the middle.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I think Spotify, if you look it up, the only version of that medley is really the Nebworth show.
Yeah.
That is on there.
And I think there's I'm almost positive, I'm not going to pull it out, but I believe it's on the Illegal Alien B-side. There's a version of that too.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. That's one of the few 12 inches I actually have of them. Yeah.
Nice.
And I remember hearing that. I'm like, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool stuff. Yeah. I picked that track. Misunderstanding was a very close second, but yeah, that's the one I picked. So yeah, Duke. Am I handing this to you, or is this
no?
higher up?
It's a little higher up because I'm going for this guy right here. And then there were 3. This is another one, kind of like Trespass. I started listening to it I listened to it on the vinyl years ago. it's kind of interesting because I honestly thought it was kind of ahead of its time. You could really see where Genesis was going to be in the 80s by listening to this. But like they were in the 80s as well, there's lots of prog elements. My favorite track is Down and Out. Just the drums. Oh my God. Phil Collins' drum work on Down and Out is absolutely insane. There's even a story about how for this tour they did that song live, and Chester had a hell of a time. He needed a lot of help to figure out how to do that. And if you listen to it, it's like, Jesus Christ, Phil, do you have to hit every single note? It's insane.
And will the
but
fans
it's amazing.
Will the fans even notice if it's spot on?
Yeah. Fuck. I'm not gonna lie. I give A for effort if you would try to do a drum cover of Down and Out. Cause fuck. I mean, even comparing it to like Neil Peart or something like that, Down and Out's like insane with the drum work. But yeah, I really kind of love this album. Let me move the fold out. This is I think this might be the same version my dad has essentially. Although I think it's in better shape. Yeah, it is a little age worn.
My copy has a little splits in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure his has splits, but it has a lot more wear and tear.
Yeah, mine is a well-loved copy.
Yeah. But yeah, this Down Out's my favorite, but like Ballad of Big, Deep in the Motherlode was actually another single that was fairly popular that you never hear anymore.
Right.
Which I love. Made Too Many. I like all these tracks. Follow You, Follow Me probably gets overplayed now because of social media, but I love it. It might be my least favorite on here. That being said, I love all these. So, yeah.
It's definitely a grower album, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's one that, like, just with repeated listens really...
Yeah, you hear new stuff with it. Like, I've listened to it a lot until, like, probably a couple years ago. I didn't realize, holy shit, Down and Out drum work? Fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's just little things you pick up on here and there.
But yeah, I think, any final thoughts before we retire? And then there were 3?
I think so. We'll retire that one, and I think we're on 5, right?
Yes.
5. Okay.
Yes.
Picked Trick of the Tail. This is the first one with Phil as the singer, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
That was the other one as a 4-piece.
Yeah, I'm making sure I got my facts straight here. They did a lot of gatefolds, even though they're single records. Really, top-notch album sleeves here. There's the back. This is just a continued image, I think. I think they've played on this image a lot over the years. Yeah, Bob, or his copy.
Yeah, I don't have that many vinyls, but this is one I actually do have. I think yours might be, I don't know.
Looks like it's about the same.
Yeah, it looks like condition-wise it's about the same.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a pen mark there. That's what you get for getting
I got a big bend. Yeah, all of these I picked up used over the years.
I have one new one here.
Again, first one with Phil as the lead vocalist. 1976 on this one. When I was younger, like way back in the day, I would always kind of get this one confused with Selling England, with the sound, kind of the selection of songs.
Really? Okay.
But I like both of those albums quite a bit, so like I don't know if I just played those two more than some of the others. But no, this is a great album. Robbery, Assault, and Battery, good song. Dance on a Volcano, the opening track. Two favorite songs on here, Entangled and Ripples. I love those two tracks. I'm more of a sucker for slow songs, slow pretty songs. Such great stuff. And again, like I think there's live versions on this of those two specific tracks anyways.
Yeah, they actually did a release of Ripples, which was never released live before that came out. And then when they did the reunion tour, they did a live version of that in there too as well. So
yeah, I'm a huge fan of Tony Banks' keyboards on a lot of these albums, and the middle section at Entangled, where it's all stripped down to like kind of orchestral type keyboard sounds. It's really, really cool. And that song just does it for me. My pick is Entangled off of this one. So
well, I think we're safe to roll right into it. Yeah, this is my number 5 as well. So it kind of works. So when I first started listening to music, my parents had 4 Genesis albums on CD. It was Self-Titled, Shapes, Invisible Touch, Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, and A Trick of the Tail. I think it's kind of interesting. It's the first one we've come up with. I'm kind of surprised this ranked. I have the other ones ranked higher, but yeah, this is great. I absolutely love this album. This was, I believe, the second Genesis album I actually ever listened to. Just Dance on the Volcano, my favorite track. That just punches you right into it. Like, it would be my second favorite all-time Genesis opening track.
It is a great opening track.
We haven't gone to what I would consider my favorite yet. Hopefully I remember to bring it up. But, yeah, it's amazing. Madman Moon pops up in my head fairly regularly. Robbery, Assault, and Battery is fun. Ripples is good. Squonk is good. Entangled, like when I was doing a Genesis countdown on my channel, Dance on a Volcano was definitely my favorite, but I wanted to do another one off here because here's the deal. All these songs are great, and it's tough to choose one. Re-listen, I was almost ready to do Entangled, but when I re-listened to it, I ended up doing Los Endos because that is an amazing pseudo-instrumental track. It's not 100% instrumental. There's a little bit of vocals in it, but it's pretty much instrumental. I know live it's instrumental completely. But yeah, absolutely love this album. The artwork's great too. I'm trying to think if there's great Genesis art. Like, this might be the last Genesis album with the really classic, like, just artwork.
Yeah,
that
agreed.
I really kind of miss.
Yeah, as the albums went into the 80s, they went with more of a simpler approach with the art.
I mean, one of the higher up ones might have my least favorite cover art of the entire band. So,
yeah, what's your favorite album cover?
Probably Nursery Crime, honestly.
That is a great cover.
Yeah, Nursery Crime.
Yeah.
A lot of the early stuff has great album art. This one's great too.
Yeah.
This might be the last one I would consider great.
I think.
Yeah, some decent stuff.
I think the Lamb had the best artwork for me. I just like.
It might have the best overall artwork, but if we're just judging cover,
yeah,
Lamb's good in so many ways. We'll get to that though.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. Final thoughts on A Trick of a Tail? Or are we ready to move on?
I think we're moving on.
We are comfortable, and this is actually my copy, so I can put this aside over here.
Cool.
We are on number 4. Damn, getting up there. Single digits. We've been single digits.
I feel at this point it's safe to say I think these are,
we are definitely choosing children at this point.
We're choosing children. We're in the top 4. I feel at least a couple of these are going to line up for us.
Possibly. Let's see.
4 is I chose the self-titled or Shapes, as some call it. I feel people that are more into the prog era, Peter Gabriel era of Genesis might put this way lower on their list. I've heard a lot of like varying opinions on this one over the years. I just there's stuff on here that just works. Like Mama is my favorite opening track is Mama. It's a very simple drum machine, kind of very dark keyboards by Tony Banks. Those are the kind of the focal points of the instrumentation anyways. And then, the Phil's vocal on it. I even like remember us talking back where he kind of does the ha-ha-has.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's really weird. I don't know if it really goes with the song, but like kind of over time, it's like they're making, this is a very different direction for them. And they're kind of dark, serious song, but still kind of telling people is like, yeah, there's still we're having fun with this. They were really into it. Every time they perform it live, I can tell the band is just really into the track. It's such a classic track. That's All was another big track on here. I do an ERG group at my work where we're just kind of going over different things, and someone in that group brought up the song It's Gonna Get Better, and I'm like, wow, I'm surprised someone in the group actually knows about that.
Yeah,
song.
I know.
It's not like
totally an album track, but it's great.
Yeah, but when he mentioned that, I thought back. It's like, yeah, I know the song, but yeah, it's a really powerful song, a great closing track. It's just there's a lot of good tracks on here for me. Taking It All Too Hard. I think Legal Alien is maybe not a song they would do nowadays, but it's still a very fun track.
Yeah, I mean, thematically they aren't going to cover it, but honestly, it's just fun. There's nothing really bad in it.
But my top pick would be the Home by the Sea track, and then it's followed up by the second Home song. So that's kind of like their more prog track on here.
I always count that as one track. Live, it's always listed as one. I think it's weird to separate it. I don't know why they did that in the album.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not. The cover art's curious. I'm not quite sure what they were going with the cover art, but yeah, it's a solid album.
Mm-hmm.
So, am I handing this one to you, Bob? Or
No, you're not.
So we didn't line up on that one.
No,
Okay.
because my number 4 is right here, Duke. This is well. First of all, I'm gonna show this off because this is the one I got new, and I just think it's so cool. The record is white.
Ooh,
It's very fancy.
that is fancy.
I'd never gotten a white record before, but I thought that was so cool.
I also love it when they come in the polylined sleeves.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah.
You get this whole lyrics in there. It's not really meant to be a gatefold, but I like that it got front and back art nicely lined up. This is definitely probably it might be the most like one of the last albums that feels like a whole cohesive album. And I don't know. I don't want to say that because they all do to a degree, but this one really feels like almost one track. Not 100%, but
More like on concept.
yeah,
side of things.
yeah, very much like a whole concept in this album. Even though like Misunderstanding and what's the other one? Please Don't Ask were Phil Collins solo songs that I wrote for face value that Genesis heard and added here. Since I'm already going there, I'll go ahead and bring up how when they were putting this album together, they took a year off. Mike and Tony did a solo album. And Phil wasn't planning to do a solo album, but he was going through his divorce, and he ended up doing a whole bunch of demos. And when they came together, he played those demos and said, "Do you want any of these for Genesis?" And they picked.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they picked Misunderstanding and Please Don't Ask, which he thought were interesting picks, but okay. Now, according to Tony, he never played In the Air Tonight, and according to Phil, he did. But, they also, they're not going to fight over it because they had already decided essentially anything you write outside the group when we're not all together, you can do it as you please. So, it's fine if you don't bring it. But, you said you played everything. I'm going to give my opinion in that I think he did. If you've ever heard the demo for In the Air Tonight, it's actually shockingly, not significantly noteworthy. Which is weird because it's an amazing song.
Yeah, I've heard the demo before.
Yeah, it's an atmospheric song, but does not have that drum beat.
You know the drum beat.
Yes.
We don't even have to mention it. You know what we're talking about.
It does not have that. It's just the atmospheric 3 minutes for 5 minutes. It's good. It's cool. But I would get listening to him, but yeah, that's cool, but there's not much to it.
It's not as dynamic. And that as demos go, that's almost tends to be the case with demos.
That drum beat changes that entire song, and it changed it from something kind of cool to something completely fucking epic. And if I were Tony, I'd probably turn it down too. But hearing the end result, it's damn, that could have been Genesis.
Right. Well, and to be fair too, for people who are more casual fans, I think as you start getting into more of the pop era of Genesis, I think people have a hard time separating the Phil Collins pop songs with the Genesis Phil Collins pop songs.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many times Land of Confusion has come on. Oh, it's Phil Collins, or it's well, kind of.
I would say usually the way you tell the difference is usually the Genesis songs are better, in my opinion. Of course,
Yes.
Well, with the exception of In the Air Tonight, which is amazing.
Yes.
And I also want to add, I also think In the Air Tonight, it may not have been as good as a Genesis song because I almost feel what makes that work is how minimalist it is through most of the song.
Right.
There's not a whole lot to that song.
Right.
Which is why it's so great.
It almost has this kind of same vein as Mama. It's very simple, atmospheric, and it kind of builds. So maybe they were just trying to avoid it because they didn't want to kind of get known for doing certain types of songs at that point.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But yeah, I think they just didn't think it was particularly noteworthy, and I didn't either. The demo isn't. It's cool, but eh.
Yeah, a lot of times, bands will, have a track that just takes off and it just, I never would have guessed that would have been a single.
Well, yeah, here, my favorite track, and I'm not gonna lie, I think Probably, if I was being more objective, Duchess would be my choice for favorite track. Mm-hmm. Or Turn It On Again. But emotionally, also Heat Haze is really good. Man of Our Times is different and I like it. Misunderstanding emotionally is what connects with me. Mainly because I've gone through a divorce. I've gone through, lying to yourself that so-and-so is being honest with you when they're not. Like, that song lyrically just connects with me perfectly. It's a great beat. I love it. Another fun fact, the first 3 tracks, Behind the Lines, Duchess, and Guide Vocal, were originally intended to be one track. They were going for almost like a Supper's Ready style, whole thing. And that's how come those 3 bleed together in the album.
I thought Guide Vocal was a clever song title.
Yeah.
Because I think traditionally during production, like, a guide vocal is really just a scratch vocal that someone, not necessarily the lead singer, would lay down. It's just really there to guide what they want the final vocal to sound like. Mm-hmm. So it's basically, when you read the title, the first thing that comes to mind is it might be a demo or like a scratch track or something, but it's just kind of a... Yeah, I remember correctly, that's a shorter song.
No, that's like a minute long.
Yeah.
Like, you can definitely tell that was meant to be a part of a longer song.
Yeah.
And it ended up being split up. Because it doesn't really... Yeah. It works as, like, if you put those 3 songs together, that works as a closer.
Right.
But it ends up being on its own. That being said, like, lyrically, that feels like a Phil Collins divorce lyric. I am the one who guided you this far. All you know and all you feel. Nobody must know my name, or nobody would understand. And you kill what you fear. I call you, for I must leave. You are on your own until the end. There was a choice, but now it's gone. I said you won't understand. Take what's yours and be damned. That is breakup stuff there. I'd be shocked if Phil didn't write that. I kind of love just the lyrically, and I love when it comes back at the end of Duke's Travels, which is listed as an instrumental, which is 100% true. Mm-hmm. But I love this album. It's fantastic. I think sonically it has its own like unique sound. Yeah. But yeah, it's a classic. Yeah, I love it. Any final thoughts on Duke?
No, I don't think so.
I think we're retiring Duke then.
Yeah, I think we're moving on.
Number 3. Oh boy, top 3.
In my top 3.
We're really getting into those children now.
Okay. Well, I know 2 of these are. I know 2 of these are in our top 3 because we haven't talked about.
Yeah, there's a couple we haven't talked about.
My top 2 we haven't talked about, so I know they're in your top 3. Mm-hmm. Okay. My number 3 is Selling England by the Pound.
That's quite a bit higher than mine.
Yeah. The reason why it's so high is the first side of this. The first 5 songs, I think, it's like the best stretch of 5 songs on any sides of their albums. It's Dancing with the Moonlight Night, that Bob mentioned earlier, is one of his favorites.
Oh, yeah.
Great track. It's almost kind of like the title track for this album because Selling England from the Pound is predominantly in the lyrics. Mm-hmm. I Know What You Like in Your Wardrobe. That was like one of the first instances of kind of their pop mixing with like synth. It kind of has a very synthesizer driven kind of edge to it. Again, a sign of some later things to come. Okay, I'm just gonna say Firth the Fifth is my favorite track on here.
It's really good, and it's a good pick.
Best guitar melody in the catalog, period. I love that. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, It's like, they do that live a lot.
Such an iconic guitar part, and it's like every time that I hear it, it's just like it's so kind of very theatrical, operatic sounding. I mean, obviously they played it a ton in live sets back in the day. It's it's a classic track. More Fool Me, it was a fill vocal. So that first side, it's just wow. Cinema Show on side 2 was another big track on here. I think that's a pretty long song too.
Yeah, I think it's like 11 minutes.
I think the weakest link on here is the Battle of Epping Forest.
You see that might be where we differ, because for me the weak track is I Know What I Like, which is in your intro. Yeah. That being said, Battle of Epping Forest is kind of lower too, and that's longer.
Another great cover here, the illustration, it's kind of showing the different social classes. It's kind of like, it's some political commentary here. We have the homeless man sleeping on the bench here, and then as we go back, you can kind of see, kind of like.
Show them.
Yeah. You know what, why am I showing you? You know what this cover looks like.
Let me peer. Whoa. I see how it is.
There. Sorry, Bob. You're kind of getting put in the background
Well, this
here.
backing cover art sucks.
So you can just pause that right there over Bob's head. Oh no. So, but yeah, it's. I think this was album 5, right? Because this Peter Gabriel did 6.
Next to last, Peter Gabriel. Yes.
Yeah, 6 would be the last Peter Gabriel album. Yeah, I love this album, and every time I go on forums and things, everyone ranks this one like really high, and
I'm an anomaly. I rank it. That being said, I still love it.
Again, I used to get this one confused a lot with Trick of the Tail, because to me they kind of had a similar kind of sound, but every time I play this record, I'm floored by it. So, Selling England, and Bob's already talked about it, so I think we're moving on.
Yeah.
So.
You're gonna have to pass me their greatest hits.
The greatest hits album?
Yes.
Okay. Which is this one, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, this is what, like 5, like at least. Yeah, let's see, 1, 2. Yeah, the entire A side and then one song off the B side are all like huge hits. This, like, I jokingly call it the greatest hits. I also love it. Shockingly, like if I had to pick lesser songs, it might be Invisible Touch and Anything She Does, which I still thoroughly enjoy. And the Anything She Does is fun. Invisible Touch, I actually love that song live. The album version is iffier, but I love it live. Outside of that, everything else here I absolutely adore. Domino is it's my daughter that pointed out I listen to Domino all the time. It probably is my favorite song in their entire catalog. I just love how long it is. It's like, for me, that's a perfect mix between their pop and their prog side. It's just, that's it. But yeah, Tonight. I love the instrumental section when Tony goes nuts on those keyboards during that. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
And Land of Confusion is one that most people like. I think you even saw a reaction video once where a person, they were reacting to the Genesis Land of Confusion video. And they pause it early on. They're like, I've never heard this before, but I'm just really familiar with the original. And when he said that, I just had to cringe. It's like, no, Genesis is the original, Disturbed is the cover.
Well, now they're experiencing another round of that with the Sound of Silence that they did, and it's like, well, it's a Simon and Garfunkel track.
Yeah,
and it's good because it's cover versions. It's not only introducing it to a new generation, but it's introducing newer generations to older music.
Yeah,
so I think it's a win-win. Cover versions.
Overall it's a win.
Yeah.
Brazilian is a great instrumental track.
Agreed.
It's also great live. Throwing It All Away, I just love that lyrically. Mike's lyrics for Throwing It All Away, it almost seems like it should be Phil lyrics, but that is Mike lyrics on that one. In Too Deep is actually, I'm not a huge fan of slower songs. In Too Deep is just nice.
Yeah.
I like that. That's probably my favorite of their slower songs.
It's kind of reminiscent of Phil's solo work a little bit.
It is. Yes.
Yeah.
To me, I almost view it as like One More Night, but better.
Yeah, my sister and I have talked quite a bit about that track because she likes more of the pop Genesis.
Yeah.
She's not into the more of the prog stuff, but she once mentioned Into Deep, and she's like the middle section where the key changes and it kind of plays that pretty melody in the middle, and she's like goosebumps every time I hear it. And I'm like me too. It's
impossibly good.
Yeah. 87, right? On that one?
86, I believe.
You're right. 86.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yes, Invisible Touch, fantastic. But we're going to talk about more at some point. Am I passing it to you, or are you?
You are actually passing that to me.
Okay,
that is my number 2.
All right.
Reason why it's so high up, and a lot of the prog fans don't like this album because of how poppy it is. But that's one of the reasons why I like it. There's still quite a bit of prog on here. If you're an older fan, there is stuff on here for you, believe me.
Domino and Tonight get very proggy.
Exactly. The Brazilian just being a classic epic instrumental piece. It's every track on here is a standout. Like, Bob said, like nearly every track on here was a radio single. I think I agree. I think the weak point on here is Anything She Does,
which I still love. I don't want to.
I love it too, and
it's a fun video too.
That's the one that has the goofy video with Benny Hill as the security officer, and it's just. But yeah, it's I was a kid when this came out. Invisible Touch was all over the radio. You couldn't avoid it.
It's probably the most played Genesis song to this day.
Probably. Yeah, probably. But, God, yeah, I think we've talked about the songs enough on here.
I also want to point out, Land of Confusion music video is their best music video by far.
Oh yeah,
absolute classic. If you haven't seen it, you gotta watch that. It's so good.
Yeah, lots of political commentary on it, but it's really cool. There's something else I was gonna say about this.
Did you pick a favorite on there?
My favorite song's Tonight.
That's right. Yes.
I've always loved the radio version, and then when I finally got, I think I owned this on CD originally, but just a 8 or 9 minute epic. It's the radio edit is butchered compared to the album version. It's so good. I just love that track. Again, I'm a big fan of the keyboards by Tony Banks. Another dark, atmospheric track.
I feel like so often with the radio edits, it's like, okay, let's cut out Tony's solo.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that?
He really gets the short end of the stick when it comes to, because they do just as many keyboard solos as they do like guitar solos.
Oh yeah, probably possibly more. Tony's a huge influence on that band.
Yeah, they're a very keyboard heavy group, for sure. And I think like this album, a lot of people they don't like how keyboard heavy this particular album is. This would have been the era of digital synths and sequencers and things like that, so it has a very digital sound to it. But I mean that was the sound.
Yes it was.
Yeah, a lot of groups were adopting that sound because it was it was moving into a new era of music, and they pulled that off quite well. The production on here is amazing. The songwriting is strong. Again, every song just stands out. I mean, I can't talk about how much I love this album.
I mean, everybody was going towards synth at that time. Like you want to even talk about Led Zeppelin? Listen to their last album. They were going towards synths as well. It was just where everybody was going to, because these musicians, they just want to play what's new. And that's what they're doing.
I mean, it's you listen to like rock music, and you can hear it. Like when we started getting past the blues and more into like electric guitars, with like early metal, like Black Sabbath, that was a sound, and they were, everyone's adopting that sound and trying to evolve it, and that's no different here. There was a new breakthrough in music, and they took it and they helped evolve it. So that's and they did it very well. Again, production on here is amazing. Amazing production.
The production on that and Self-Titled are just, I think it's Hugh Pagnum on both of them, but
Hugh Pagnum.
Yeah, he was great.
Yep. So, anything else about Invisible Touch?
I think I'm good on retiring Invisible Touch for the list.
We're going to retire.
And then we are going to my number 2, the first Genesis album I ever heard, and my choice for the worst album cover. It's just the shapes, which it's nothing special. I feel like one of their kids were playing and dropped some toys, and they took a random picture and said, "Fuck it, album cover."
I used to think that played into, when I was younger as a kid, I always thought Mama was it was more of like a song kind of to child to mother, and maybe that was since the toys on the front.
Maybe, but
getting older, I'm like, oh no, this is a completely different meaning behind this.
Mama is about a hooker named Mama.
Yep.
And somebody going through obsession. Best opening track ever. I mentioned that when you brought up.
Yes.
Oh god, might be one of my all-time favorite opening tracks, period, of any album. This is the first Genesis album I ever heard, which probably gives me a bit more of a favoritism towards it. But I love it. Like Home by the Sea. Here's the deal. Studio versions, my favorite song on here is Mama. Live versions, my favorite song on here is Home by the Sea. It just depends. They're both absolutely amazing. That's All is a song. That's probably the catchiest Genesis song that gets caught in my head all the goddamn
It is
time.
really catchy.
Oh my god.
Just a very simple, repetitive piano riff, and it's just, that 4/4 kick. It's catchy.
Yeah, and I know when I brought up Silver Rainbow when I was doing my countdown recently, and lots of people were like, "Yeah, that was a nowhere B-side to that album." And I'm not gonna lie, outside of Illegal Alien, like if you're just going for Illegal Alien, I get it. Phil does his weird accent. I think it's a fun song, but maybe not the most timely. That being said, the actual message of it is nothing bad. It's not like it's terrible or anything. The rest of this is fairly solid. Taking It All Too Hard was a fairly solid hit, and honestly, Just a Job to Do, Silver Rainbow, and It's Gonna Get Better are all just fantastic Genesis songs.
Yeah,
period.
and I think my least favorite is Just a Job to Do, and if that's a standout track, I mean, that's a good point. Like every song on there is a standout.
Yeah, Silver Rainbow is one I never thought got enough respect, because I don't even think there's a live version of that. I just love the sound of that song. It's just a great sound.
I do too.
It's Gonna Get Better is classic. There are live versions to that, although I don't think there's been one recently. I think they probably just did it for the Mama tour. Just absolutely love this album, though. This used to be the album that I would work out to. Essentially, if I go onto a treadmill when I was younger, I'd put on this album and just walk until it's over. I just love it. It is this is the album that I fell in love with Genesis to. Right there.
I noticed something on the sleeve.
Yes.
Track 10 is not actually a track on there. It just...
You don't like the song produced by Genesis?
It's just, you can hold that up there. If you can see that, there's a track 10. It's one of the shapes on the back.
Yeah.
There isn't a track 10 on the album. It just says produced by Genesis.
You don't know the hidden track on there?
So...
It's just Phil going, produced by Genesis.
Copyright notice.
With Hugh Pagnum. Yeah, I didn't even notice it says produced by Genesis and in small print. With Hugh Pagnum. I think they largely refer to him as a producer in interviews and stuff.
Did he only do those 2 albums?
I don't know. Possibly. I don't know if he did We Can't Dance. I don't think he did Abacab.
I'm curious. I'm going to pull that up real quick and if I can find it and see if he was on that one.
I know David Henschel, I think, did Duke. So it's We Can't Dance and Abacab would be the unknowns.
No, I'm actually really curious.
Yeah.
No, Nick Davis.
Okay.
On We Can't Dance. Okay.
So what about Abacab?
We'll pull that one up here in a minute. Actually, it
Why are they printing it on the cover?
Yeah, it doesn't say. It might just be on the
record itself.
On the record sleeve.
Oh, that's where that artwork's from. I actually didn't know that.
No, yeah, Hugh Pagnum.
Okay, so Hugh Pagnum.
Yeah, so
3.
he.
Okay.
Yeah, for those 3. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I wonder what our number 1 is, because there's literally one album neither of us has mentioned yet. Well, I guess we've mentioned it, but it's not been on our list yet.
Yeah, if you're a fan, if you've been following, you probably know what this is.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to start us out?
I guess. Yeah. Yep, number 1 for me is The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Last album with Peter Gabriel, 1974 on this one. Again, my favorite cover art, by the way, too. I like the...
They do some crazy stuff on that cover.
Kind of like the split images and the combined images with some of these photographs. I think we talked about this earlier today. This is just one of many. Hypnosis did a lot of covers. I'm pretty sure they did this one. They did stuff for Floyd and Moody Blues and a lot of the prog bands of that era. Those elaborate covers they did. Another kind of gatefold here. Yeah, this one feels like a full-on production in terms of a theatrical piece. Yeah, Bob mentioned that Archive set had a full
entire live version. It's not an archive.
Full live version of it. Yeah. This really works as a very conceptual piece. I mean, I'm not generally a fan of double albums unless like all of it's very strong, and this is very strong. So, Carpet Crawlers was the lead single on this, right?
I don't know if probably. I know they didn't have any strong radio airplay with these guys.
The title track too was a radio single.
Yeah, that's right. They released the title track in America, and I believe Carpet Crawlers was a UK release, and I believe there's something else.
I feel like Cocoon may have been.
I was thinking it might be Counting Out Time.
Yeah, that too. That's a really catchy track. Some good instrumentals on here too. Hairless Heart is just a very pretty piece. I really like Lilith on this one too.
Yeah, there's little random like bits on here that get stuck in my head. Like the Lamia will get stuck in my head recently, and I don't know why, but it's there.
If I had to pick just one though, I'd probably go with the Carpet Crawlers. And they did, if anyone's familiar with the Greatest Hits CD, they did a new recorded version where I think Peter came back for that, right? Peter
and Phil record different sections of that song, and I've heard Genesis enough that I can clearly decide their different vocals quite well.
So yeah, this is just an album I can just throw on and get lost in it. You know, it's not an album full of like big radio hits, but it's just a great conceptual piece. You know, I just love like sitting down, reading along to the lyrics with this one. So yeah, that's my number one. I'm also a big fan of Peter Gabriel's solo work, and I think we've talked about this. Like the first solo album very much feels like a continuation. It's almost like the first 6 Genesis albums, and then those Peter Gabriel solos is like an alternate timeline.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, that's my number one.
Well, guess what my number one is? My number one
I never would have guessed.
Is
surprise!
Yeah, no, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. This is like here's the deal. Double albums are either kind of long or just kind of mind-blowing. This goes into the mind-blowing camp. It's a whole cohesive piece. Like from beginning to end, it just flows. If I had to go for a favorite track, I go for In the Cage.
Good choice.
But I like Carpet Crawlers, I love. Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, I love. Back in NYC, I love. Counting Out Time is fun. Colony of Slippermen is awesome. It is awesome.
And if you're familiar with the performances of this, if you've ever seen the Slipperman, is the big rubbery suit that has like all of the weird mutant bubbles and things on it. Yeah, so that's what that's from. If you're curious,
Phil Collins actually talked about like in Spinal Tap, where like they come out of the cocoons and then one guy's tucked in the cocoon. He compares that because there's many a night where Peter Gabriel would be coming out of the cocoon on his show, and a couple nights where that didn't quite work out. And he's talked about watching Spinal Tap. It's like, did Rob Reiner go to one of our Lamb shows? But yeah, to my understanding, like they did have a big theatrical like show of this. It's not really out. Largely, Phil said a lot of it was kind of a shit show. Peter wanted to come back together in 2007 to do a reinterpretation of The Lamb as a live show with all the proper equipment, doing it nicely. We got some pictures in the archives.
I found what the Slipperman outfit was. I'm going to try to hold this up here so you can see it. Again, pause it. Here we go.
But yes, he wanted to come together as a live show, and so the 5 of them came together. It was Phil, Peter, Steve, Mike, and Tony. They were all together in a hotel room, and essentially they were there for a little bit. Peter's like, okay, here's what we need to do. Here's what we need to do. And Peter's also going, oh, wait, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. Oh, never mind. Later. And he left, and that was the end of his involvement. And then Steve almost immediately was like, oh, if Peter's not involved, I'm out. And that left Phil, Tony, and Mike, and Phil described it. It was, and then there were 3. Again. And they were just like, well, you guys want to do a reunion tour? And they're like, yeah, sure.
And the Gabriel track off of the first one, or Car, depending on how you title it, has Salisbury Hill, which I believe is about his kind of falling out with Genesis, right?
Yeah, kind of. I feel like, yeah.
Feeling part of the scenery, kind of in lyric and that. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Phil also talked about how when he joined, like, it was Peter, Mike, and Tony's band, very much so when he joined. Anthony Phillips was already out, and they'd never had a firm drummer until Phil. And pretty much Tony and Peter were the best friends, and Anthony Phillips and Mike Rutherford were the best friends, and then they joined their bands together, and that's the origin of Genesis. Now Anthony Phillips leaves, so Mike Rutherford's the only one from that group. And mainly what you end up with was Peter and Tony being the best friends, bickering a lot, and Mike being the peacekeeper, and Phil eventually also being kind of a peacekeeper as well between those two. Because they were the best friends, but that they kept on wanting to have their ideas. This, largely lyrically, is a construction of Peter, and musically is a construction of Tony. They all share credit, however. And I love it just so much. It feels like if you were to mix A Trick of the Tail and Peter's first solo album, you'd pretty much end up with something almost exactly like Lamb Lies Down on Broadway.
That's fair.
It's
a good point.
Wonderful mixture of their styles. You can really see, especially Peter's solo career, where these guys are going after this. Like, you're never gonna get a better mix of these 5 guys in this album. Like, yeah, there are control issues, but like, the album itself is seamless. Like, you don't get the conflict in the album except where they want you to get the conflict in the album.
Right.
It's wonderful. I absolutely love this album. It just artistically, just damn.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have any final thoughts on this, other than what I've already said.
Yeah, that's. I mean, like Bob said, it flows.
So, are you ready for the concert tonight?
I am more than ready for the concert.
Oh yeah,
I was like kind of thinking like so I know when we first met in college, it was decades ago at this point.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Bob's better with numbers. Yeah, as we've discussed earlier. I remember we were both into Floyd, and
yes.
I was into Genesis because not to the extent that you were. So
yeah,
there's a lot of
huge Genesis junkie at that point.
A lot of those albums, especially the early albums, I hadn't heard, and I remember you shared a lot of Genesis with me, and I shared a lot of Nine Inch Nails with you, and
yes.
we kind of did some reviews, and we would discuss the next day. So did you listen to it? And so some of the really early stuff took a while to grow on me over the years, but and eventually I'm a record collector, so I just picked these up as I saw them in used stores or whatever. Gave them some listens, and Bob is definitely more knowledgeable with
when it comes to Genesis, when it comes to music in general, you're definitely like way more than I am. But like, we bonded over Pink Floyd, and then essentially it was just like, well, I'm going to share Genesis with you. Well, I'm going to share Nine Inch Nails with you. Yeah. And a friendship.
That's kind of how it all started.
Our friendship, Genesis was one of the founding bands of our friendship, which is really nice.
It is very nice.
And now we're going to see what's probably their final tour, their final shows.
And we've neither of us have seen Genesis.
I regret not seeing them in 2007.
So
we're going to have a really good view of Phil Collins' back brace. 10th row. No, I'm sure it's gonna be an amazing show. They're great live. Tony and Mike put on an amazing show. I'm really excited. I can totally cut this part out later, but Rob had an idea. Bobby had an idea. What we could do is talk about going into the show briefly. Just going when we talk about our thoughts going into the show. Sure. Then when it's over, our thoughts going out, and tag it to the end of the video. You want to do that? All right. So I don't have to cut this out. Yeah, I think that'd be a fun idea. Yeah. And I know you have not, I've spoiled myself on the live stuff that's leaked and all that, but you haven't, so we can talk about what tracks you expect to see like that.
With concerts, it's I do get movies, I do get tempted to read about spoilers. You can go to Setlist FM and then see what songs they played, the night before. It's I have to keep it spoiler free. So it's just when I hear a song come up, like, yeah, I didn't know you were going to play that one. Awesome.
I've spoiled myself. I largely know the track list. That being said, there's actually one track that they've been switching back and forth between. I'm interested to see where they go with that. But yeah, Genesis in a few hours. Very excited.
Yes, and you're going to have a playlist coming up, right?
Yeah, I'm going to put together a playlist on Spotify. Thanks for reminding me. There's Spotify and YouTube. We're going to put together a playlist of our favorite tracks off each album. So you can kind of like listen through our favorite albums as we go. Kind of get a good hint of the air the air.
And then,
I think that's the right word, yeah. The air we're talking about, what they sound like at that time, where they're at. But yeah.
And then people, I'm sure, will tell us how crazy we are.
How wrong we are.
For picking that song.
Everybody knows Invisible Touch is the worst fucking Genesis album ever. Everybody knows that.
I know. So, tell us below.
Yeah. Be sure to tell us how bad our tastes are.
Why did you rank that so high? Or why wasn't From Genesis to Revelation your number 2 spot?
Everybody knows the best Genesis albums are From Genesis to Revelation, Calling All Stations, and Trespass.
Yeah,
because Phil Collins killed the whole band the second he joined, of course.
And then it all went pop. So you could just really disregard most of these albums.
Anything that Phil Collins is involved with,
only listen to the first. Only listen to the first 2 and the last one.
Yeah, because that's how pop music works.
Right.
Yeah. Phil Collins gets really popular, therefore everything he does is crap. Yeah, I hate to tell you people, most of you people who are Genesis elitists like that, you wouldn't know who Genesis was if it wasn't for Phil Collins. Hate to break it to you, but that's the truth. Most of you are in that camp. Most of you are in that.
You're going bold.
Yes, I'm going truthful too.
And it's true to some extent. It's like you get introduced by everyone knows the breakthrough. Breakthrough album or the breakthrough song, and then you start discovering the things that came before it, and it's either you like what came before it better or you don't, but you still got to appreciate that breakthrough led you to something that you enjoy.
Exactly.
And it's kind of hard to kind of trash on something that kind of gave you that first impression and the will to want to investigate further. So I agree with you 100% on that.
But this is a lot of fun. We gotta do more of these.
Yeah, we'll do more of these, and some of our other
more concerts are coming up.
More concerts. A lot of other groups we like definitely have some varying opinions in the fan base, and I know we'll do a Pink Floyd one at some point.
Yeah, and even though they're not likely to tour again, but
and that's another one. This was hard to rank some of these albums.
Yeah,
so I'd imagine
like I said, everything after 14 and on, I like. And then, we get to a point, I don't even know what point we're at. Maybe, 10 and on is where I'm like, I love this album.
Yeah. I know there's several bands that we share a love for.
Yeah, it's 11, 10, maybe even 12. I really love.
And some of them are, they're just going to be so hard to rank some of these other bands. And again, a lot of them have fan bases with varying opinions. So it would be interesting to kind of see how those line up.
All right. So we're going to relax a couple hours for the Genesis show, but don't worry, it's going to be edited together, so we're going to be there instantly from your perspective. So
right. Well, in 3 seconds, you're going to see us at the Genesis show.
Yeah, we're going to hop on the transport and just teleport over there.
Yeah, because technology.
Yeah, we'll do that right now.
Right now. See everybody.
Hey, we just pulled into the parking spot. We're here for Genesis.
We teleported like we said we would.
Woo!
We're here. Boom. That was
what was in Waynesville. We are now at the Nationwide Arena for Genesis. George, what songs would you like to hear tonight?
Tonight.
Okay.
I would love. Yeah. No, I like so much of their material. As long as they put on a great set. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a long set, probably three or so hours. I know they'll play good stuff. I'm not worried.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure. I'm gonna go over a couple of stuff that I would love that they played that I know they won't, and it's not gonna be a spoiler if they don't, because I think you'd be shocked if you expected any of these. Okay. I'd love it if they did In the Air Tonight. I'd love to see Genesis do a take on that, even though it's a solo song. I'd love that. Something super obscure. I always liked Feeding the Fire from their B-sides.
Oh, do they do B-sides live?
No,
okay,
I don't think they've ever done one live.
Yeah.
No, that's not happening. What's another one? there's one I just thought, oh yeah, I'd love if they did something from Calling All Stations. I'd love to see Phil's take on it. I just would be interested.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I'd love to just see them do like a new version of it and just kind of see how Phil would handle it.
Yeah.
They won't, but
doubt it.
I would love to see that.
Like if they did Congo, that would be cool.
Yeah, Congo, Dividing Line. There's lots of cool stuff they could do.
Yeah.
Like when they did Dividing Line live, they had a great like guitar intro. That song live is like 4 minutes longer than the studio version. Yeah, there's lots of stuff I'd love to see. I know they're going to do a great set, and there's like obvious stuff I know they're going to do.
Well, we know they're playing a few albums in full tonight. The good ones, which are from Genesis to Revelation.
Yes.
Trespass and Calling All Stations.
Without a doubt.
We'll be hearing those in full.
They were like, we're going to bring Phil in, and he's going to do all the stuff that he wasn't involved in creatively at all. He's going to love it.
Yes.
Yay. That would be hilarious, but it's not happening. I wouldn't object to some Trespass. I'd be shocked if they did any Trespass.
Yeah,
although I would say Trespass is a better chance than Calling All Stations.
I'm expecting a lot of From Duke On with some classic cuts from other stuff thrown in there.
That's pretty much what I'm expecting too. But yeah, excited to see it. We still got about 2 hours till the show, but doors open at 6:30, and so we can definitely check it out. I definitely want to check out the store.
Yeah.
Next video, hopefully I can show you some cool merch. Some cool overpriced merch, I'm sure.
No, make our wallets cry for sure.
Yes.
We'll buy the merch so you don't have to.
How many other Genesis concerts are we going to go to? So, it'll be fun. I can't wait.
Same here. Cool.
just getting out of Genesis. George, what do you think?
It was amazing. It was everything I hoped it would be.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say other than I was there. I saw it.
Yeah.
It was fucking amazing.
We had really good seats. We could see the stage just fine for the most part.
I got photos. I did get videos. Depending on how good the audio is, will depend on what you see in between this and the intro we talked about getting here. But yeah, oh my god, it was such a good show.
Initial thoughts: the music was top notch.
Yeah.
Phil is having a hard time getting around, so he sat through most of the show. I could tell he was struggling here and there with the vocals.
Yeah.
But, he gave it his 100%.
Yeah, he did not half-ass it at all. Like, all the people bad-talking him, shut the fuck up. He's going up there and he's doing his all. I'd like to see you do half as well as he is.
When you got to the second part of the set, like, he was nailing it. Like, spoiler alert, No Son of Mine, perfect performance from Phil on that song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Visuals were great. Lots of really cool.
Oh god, I love the visuals.
Backing videos were really cool.
I wish I got a shot of the face in the wall from Home by the Sea.
Yeah,
it was so cool, and it was up there forever. When it first popped up, I was like, I'm never gonna get time to get a shot, and it was up there long enough for me to get a shot. And I didn't do it. I mean,
there was images in there I've seen before too, like the green faces that were going around in a circle.
Yeah.
I know I've seen that before.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was for that particular song on other tours or not,
possibly.
But, God, yeah, I was floored. God.
I mean, it might be favoritism, but I honestly feel like I loved Rush, but I feel like it almost made them look like amateurs. It was so good.
Yeah, it's just, and of course, Phil's son, Nick, on drums.
He nailed it.
Phenomenal.
Oh my god, he was so good. They were all on point.
Yeah.
Like Phil, he's giving it his all. The only thing I really noticed was that he was about ready to mess up on Selling England, but he changed it very quickly. I saw he was about ready to do another note, and all of a sudden you could see through his head. All of a sudden he went, "Oh shit!" and he switched quickly. He didn't say "Oh shit." I don't think he vocalized the other note, but you could tell he's about ready to go to a different part of the song than he was supposed to go to. Then he swapped very quickly.
I didn't notice that, but he was in.
People are fallible. Even if he's 100% perfect, he's gonna mess up occasionally. That's what they do.
And you gotta remember, they have such a vast discography too.
Oh my god.
It's like trying to remember, and they're playing, mind you, a 2.5 hour set.
Yeah.
Trying to remember everything.
And
I couldn't do that.
They did an amazing job. It was a great show. Do you have a favorite song they did?
Oh, jeez.
It's tough because they were all great. And I know that we got the tour book, which is awesome. $20, but God, it's really high quality.
Yeah.
It has a pseudo set list in it. It's not 100% accurate.
Yeah, let's just go through it real quick.
Yeah,
see if there's anything in this list that
they didn't do that one, and they didn't do. I don't think they did Musical Box.
No, they did parts of Moonlit Night. They did parts of Los Endos, right?
I'm not sure about Los Endos. I think they did parts of Cinema Show.
I thought I heard like a riff of Los Endos.
Maybe a little bit. Yeah.
Moonlit Night. They didn't play Abacab.
No, they didn't do Abacab.
They played parts of Firth of Fifth.
Yeah, they did the guitar part. I actually got most of that. Daryl did a great job. The order's wrong too. Carpet Crawlers was the show closer. I was annoyed with people walking out during Carpet Crawlers. Yes, I know it's not one of their most popular songs, but it's so fucking beautiful.
I saw a line of people leaving to get snacks or during Domino, which was that's the title track for the tour.
Yeah, it's an epic fucking song.
Yeah, but
I had to stand up for the second half of that song. That was so good.
I think we just have to remember that Genesis has different types of fans, and none of them are wrong. So,
no, they're not.
And
but
it's great.
I love it all.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, even the song I'm not too fond of. I don't even see it listed on here. I Know What I Like. They totally played that. Am I missing it?
You're right. It's not on this list.
Yeah, I assumed it was. They did that one. Yeah. And a song I'm not usually fond of. I love it live, and I loved it this time. I love Phil playing with the audience during that song.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like Phil, he obviously can't walk around great, but his voice is fine. He's still talking to the audience. He's still doing all the same stuff when he was walking around. He just isn't jumping around the stage. It's fine.
He was in good spirits too. Made jokes, made goofy faces during parts of the songs.
I didn't get any video of him talking about Columbus, and he dropped Columbus in like randomly whenever. Yeah. It's like that would have been cool.
They did not play Hold on My Heart. That was
no, they didn't. No, so that's not one of my favorites. But
there's a few
on
this list. Yeah.
If it means a longer shorter set, I'll take it. But
Sure.
yeah.
but yeah, most of the songs.
This is
in this
most
list.
of it. Well, it even says here, it doesn't say set list, it says New York January rehearsals. So essentially, they're giving you a hint of what they were playing with.
Right.
But oh my God, it was so good.
Yeah,
I know. Lots of people were saying they're swapping out Misunderstanding for Duchess, and that's the thing. I really love Misunderstanding. I think Duchess might be better live, though.
I could agree with that.
Duchess is really good.
Yeah.
God, yeah, I loved it though. This is a great show. It was expensive, but good seats.
Totally worth it, because
God.
we don't know if this will ever happen again.
Yeah, this might,
so.
like, if you're somewhat a fan of Genesis, you gotta do this.
Yeah,
I don't care. Like, all you complaining, oh, Phil's in a seat. It's Phil jumping around stage that made the band. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Phil jumping around helped, but Phil is still in the same spirits. He's great.
And you're going for the music and the experience. And,
Yes.
Great performance, great experience.
I mean, they always do the great live mixes.
Yeah.
It always drives me nuts when I see a band live and they just can't figure out a live mix, but fucking Genesis nails it every time.
I agreed. I don't know how many shows I've been to where the mix is just really shitty or unintelligible parts of different songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear everything crystal clear.
Yeah.
Every part.
It's like the studio version, but I don't know. I feel like it's more livelier.
Yeah, they definitely a lot of these.
Well, I mean, there's little stuff where they use a drum machine in the studio and they're not using a drum machine live. They just
right.
Like Mama. Mama's a drum machine. I meant to bring that up in the other podcast. Mama was a drum machine done by Mike.
Yes, that sounds about right.
And then, yeah, of course,
but
live
some
it's
drumming,
drums.
drumming later on in the song.
Yes.
Like towards the second half of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's.
And now
Yeah, this set list is pseudo accurate, like 75% accurate.
Yeah.
I could have gone for the instrumental part of Fading Lights, but yeah, instrumental Tonight would have been nice too. But
yeah, I'm still
they're
glad,
giving you hints.
I'm still glad they played it.
Yeah, it's better than nothing.
Yep, exactly.
And and entirely. Oh, Throwing It All Away. We gotta talk about Throwing It All Away. That felt like a goodbye song. It so did. What did
it did, and I like that they spoiler alert if you're planning on watching the show, but the visuals they did spines of some of the old cassettes and some of the bootleg VHS tapes. They showed spines, and it was kind of intermixing, going different directions.
Yeah,
with,
live footage videos, and just throughout the years, they had shots of Peter, shots of Chester, shots of people who used to tour with them.
It was a nice kind of legacy type video.
It was kind of bittersweet, but God, so good. If you're someone fan, you gotta do this.
Yeah.
You have to. This is so good.
Yeah, so 10 out of 10, like A+.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say other than that.
Definitely one of the best concerts I've been to.
Oh, yeah. My best, easily. It helps my favorite band, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God, so good. I didn't even bring up any of my favorite songs. Home by the Sea was obviously so good.
Yeah, great performance and visuals.
Oh, yeah. That might be my standout. And I love Domino. But yeah, I like the visuals on Home by the Sea better.
Yeah, that one had the best visuals. That one and Land of Confusion had really good visuals.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, I just love Mike shredding the guitar on Home by the Sea. He does a great job. So good.
Yep.
You gotta do it.
Genesis.
Suck it up. It's expensive, I know, but oh my God.
Do it. Go see them.
If you can still catch them, see them.
Yeah, don't miss out.
All right. So good. See you guys later. I want to go ahead and add some audio credits at the end here. The theme music you're hearing at the beginning and end of this podcast was written and performed by George Johnson, a very good friend of mine. And my current Patreons are Fel Martins, David Lara, and Lindsay Pankhurst. If you'd like to become a patron, go ahead and follow the link down below. Anything you can provide would be incredibly helpful to this channel. We're barely limping by right now. I'd love to make this my full-time job. I'm miles away from that right now. So any help you could provide, just $1 a month would be amazing. You know you want to. All your friends are doing it.